So now we'll first get into what type of nutrients that are required. So nutrition means nothing but nutrients. And one thing what I want to tell here is diet is nutrition, and nutrients give that diet and nutrition to the body. So kindly do not, when somebody says you need the right type of nutrition or right type of diet, it means you need the right type of nutrients. You all have, a lot of them have, misconceptions and myths that dieting means it's skipping a meal and not taking any type of a food and following some kind of a fancy diet or something like that. That is not diet. Those are false diets. They are not called diets. Diet is nothing but nutrition. So nutrition, how do you get? By providing all the nutrients to the body. So like we know, what are the nutrients? Carbohydrates, protein, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water. So water is also a nutrient in our body, which is very much needed for the body. And I will speak about it a little more in detail coming up. So how do you eat in a day? How do we all, so when you're going to play a sport or you're just going for your daily training classes and all, how do you play a sport and how do you plan your entire meal, like let it be breakfast or lunch or dinner? How do you plan it? Do you just guess it of how much you can just have, or do you plan that I need so many calories and how much calories I am burning during that practice session, and based on that I have to add more calories? Do you plan like that, or you just guess it? So how much of protein are you taking? Are you balancing out the protein, or are you putting your body in a negative protein state? That also we need to understand. And do you understand how much of fat you have and how much of muscle you have? Also is very important. So when it comes to eating a nutritious meal for a sports person, understand that you should not guess, and you are taking the right type of calories based on the number of hours you're training, the intensity of your training, and based on that how much you're burning out and how much of muscle and fat is available in your body, like how much is the portion of the percentage of muscle and percentage of fat in your body. That also you need to understand, and based on that you can take the amount of protein and carbohydrates. So firstly, coming to carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is one basic nutrient everybody needs, whether a sports athlete or not a sports athlete. They for sure need it, because carbohydrates is converted into glucose, which is nothing but it is the fuel for the body. And so you have to match this for your intake of your activity levels, which means if your intensity of your training and your exercises of the sport is higher, then you have to match the amount of carbohydrates you take for the entire day. And why is this so necessary? Because it provides fuel and energy to the entire body. Also, the first organ that actually takes up fuel and energy for our body is our brain. So if you're not giving that carbohydrate, if you're not giving that glucose through foods to your body, then your brain starts functioning extremely minimal. I mean, it will not function properly, and it will function in a very minimal stage. And it will cause a lot of issues of like, how do you play the next move? Or what kind of a step should you take? And these kind of, you won't be able to judge, and you won't be able to take the next move in your training or your sport or your game. And also carbohydrates is extremely important for your muscles. The reason is protein is much well absorbed when you have carbohydrates along with it. So remember that carbohydrates is not an enemy. You have to have the carbohydrate rich foods. So when you don't give enough, you are losing energy. You're losing energy. You're also losing that muscle power. And that is why you are failing to perform in a sport or a game. So what are the carbohydrate rich foods? So we all know that carbohydrates means fruits and a lot of grains also. But also these foods also provide carbohydrates, like all your desserts and sweets and sauces like ketchup, and tomato ketchup. These also provide carbohydrates, or donuts, which has sugar. So these also provide carbohydrates. So these are two types of carbohydrates. One is simple carbohydrates, one is complex. Complex carbohydrates are the good carbohydrates which have vitamins, minerals, and fiber, and has the whole grain in it, and it is not refined food. Simple carbohydrates will be your sugar, maida, or just rice flour. So these kind of simple carbohydrates are not very healthy for a sports athlete, for sure, because these simple carbohydrates eventually store up in the body as fat. They don't get utilized properly, and they don't burn out from the body how much ever you exercise, and they start storing up as fat. And more the number of fat cells, and more fat in your fat cells, is extremely dangerous for a sports person, because it will decrease the performance. So next comes is your protein. So protein is, we all know that when it comes to muscle building, everybody loads them up, with protein, with a lot of protein shakes and high protein foods and all. But protein is not only important for your muscle build, but it is also important to improve your immunity status. Also, it is important, and it provides signaling in the body, which means from one cell to another cell, it will send signals. And even through nerves impulses, it helps in sending signals. So it's not only to build muscle. If you're not taking the right amount of protein rich foods for a sports person after you finish a game, then you need to understand that you're not only losing muscle, but you're also lowering your immune status, and also not letting the cells communicate between each other. So that is also extremely difficult. So what are your protein rich foods? So your protein rich foods, as we all know, it's not necessary that protein rich foods are only non-vegetarian sources. Even vegetarian sources are protein rich foods. Okay, like your dals, your nuts, and your seeds are also good in protein. And milk is also a good source of protein. And non-veg, we all know chicken, fish, egg, these all are protein rich foods. So remember that to take the right type of protein rich foods. So there are protein rich foods like mutton or lamb or beef. These are also protein rich foods, but they're also extremely high in fat. These have to be avoided at any cost, because it's not safe, because pumping yourself with too much fat also is not good. Having lean meat like chicken or turkey or is good. Also, fish is also a good source of protein, so you can have fish also. So fats, a lot of us have a fear about fats, like, whether it is good or bad, and, whether we should have it or no. So understand that fat also is good. You do need fats in your body, because it helps. It's like a thermal for your body. Instead of like we wear sweaters in cold temperatures, inside the body, fat layers actually help from cold temperatures from outside the body. So that is one big advantage of having the right amount of fat in your body. So anybody playing, in cold temperatures, playing a game, or anybody into trekking or mountaineering, so for them, fats are actually much more important. But that is also important to know how much you're taking also. It's not necessary that you should load yourself with too much fat, but you should have the right amount of fat. Also, it has a lot of functions, like it helps in absorbing vitamins, especially they are called fat soluble vitamins like A, D, also and E. So these fat soluble vitamins can be absorbed much better when there is a good fat source in our body. So remember that eating fat is not bad, but eating the right type of fat is very important. Also, it is a source of energy. Other than carbohydrates and protein, fats also give you energy. So eating a little amount of fat will help you in providing energy in a sport. So next, helps in brain development. Okay, because 60% of our brain has fat. So that is, that is the good fats that it contains, the good and not the bad fats. But if you're loading yourself with bad fats, definitely that will impact your brain development and the brain function also. So so now moving to what type of fats that we have to take. So we all know that there are good fats and bad fats. So the bad fats will be obviously fatty meat, like I said, beef, lamb, and unprocessed cheese. And there are processed cheese. So not the unprocessed cheese, but the processed cheese is not very good because they add external fat solids into it, which is not the good fats. Of course, fried foods, burgers and fries and ice creams, these are also high in fat because they're adding a lot of cream, and foods like burgers have mayonnaise and all. So those are the bad fats. So these fats have to be avoided because when your fat cells increase and the amount of fat increases, it starts surrounding your organs. So when your fat surrounds your organs, it is diminishing, it is decreasing the power of your organs to function. Like that can be your even your muscles, it can be your heart, all types of organs also. And even your stomach layer is also surrounded by fat when the fat levels are increasing. So we should make sure that you're not imposing yourself with high saturated fats, but you're having these good fats, which are like avocados, nuts, olive oil, and fish. Fish is excellent source of omega-rich fatty acids. Like I said before, that brain consists of 60% of fat. Omega fatty acids are the best fats that can provide this fat for your brain, and also helps in a lot of brain development. So for a sports athletes, these omega fatty acids are very important. It can help reduce inflammation, and also it can help in better functioning of your brain also. So next, coming to vitamins and minerals. So like we know, like a lot of minerals and vitamins are necessary for us, especially like iron and calcium. Sorry. So the calcium, of course, everybody knows that it's important for our bones. So you can get from a lot of sources like your cheese and your nuts, and also broccoli also contains a little amount of calcium. And iron, of course, helps in maintaining your hemoglobin status, and also helps in carrying the oxygen throughout your body. So that's also very important, because if there's no proper oxygen being sent throughout your body, then your body may fall fatigued or tired very soon. And also you can't judge and you can't take the right moves during a sport. So next, coming to sodium and potassium. These minerals are very, very important because these are electrolytes in your body which will maintain the fluid balance in your cells. Anything is up or low, then your cells may start shrinking or they may start swelling up, and it may cause any kind of dehydration or overhydration also. Also vice versa, these overhydration or dehydration may cause imbalanced electrolytes of sodium and potassium. Also they may cause even muscle cramps and a lot of issues in your muscles when these minerals are not in the right proportion. So next, coming to vitamin D. As we all know, vitamin D, today everybody is talking in this situation about how vitamin D is very important to fight our immune system and improve our immune system. Of course, it is also important in improving immunity, and it's also good for your bones. The along with calcium, it's very good for your bones. So remember that all the athletes check how much is their vitamin D, and if they are low, they have to take vitamin D supplementation. So how is vitamin D sourced? It can come through sunlight. Also, it can come through non-vegetarian sources like fish. But for vegetarians, there's very low options, like only mushrooms and sunlight. So especially vegetarians have to be very careful that they check their vitamin D levels. So Next, we are coming to is hydration. So how many of us actually concentrate on this when coming to athletes? How many of them concentrate? So when I get a sports client, a lot of them say, yes, they drink water when they are playing a sport. A few of them say, yes, we are drinking. A few of them say they don't. So, but how many of you take care of the hydration levels before playing a sport? Like that can be even your daily training session also, and after playing a sport. So, are you hydrating well enough? So, how much are you drinking? Are you just drinking plain water? Are you drinking a sports drink? What are you drinking? And why is this so important? So, hydration, when you have dehydration, you have some warning signs, like you get frequent headaches, or you feel giddy and you are tired very easily. You feel a lot confused, because our body is 60 to 70% contains water. So when you are not hydrating yourself properly, it affects the entire body completely. So you can have muscle cramps because your muscles, so for your muscles, water is like oiling the muscles, like that. So it is like letting it function properly and letting it move properly. If you're not providing the right amount of water, your muscle cramps may increase a lot. And also it will start causing a lot of rigidity in the muscles, which will hinder in the performance of a sport, definitely. And it can decrease your stamina, your speed, your energy levels, and it may eventually even cause dizziness, and you may even faint. So like I said, water is an important nutrient, but like other nutrients like carbohydrate, protein, fats, it does not provide energy. But like I said, it may, it is important to overcome the overhydration or the dehydration levels, and it also has very important role in the body. Like I said, carbohydrate is converted into glucose. So this glucose, when it is utilized in the body as energy, it is fine. But when it is not utilized, there is some amount that is stored in our body as glycogen. So to store that glycogen, you need some water. So like for storing 1 gram of glycogen, you need 3 grams of water. So you need to be very careful that you're giving the right amount of water also to store that carbohydrate levels in your body. Otherwise, you will be dehydrated, and also your glycogen is not getting stored, and you won't have the right energy to perform in a long performance also. Next, water also distributes nutrients throughout the body and also hormones through the body, and also is good for your immune cells. And it's also good in having the right amount of oxygen also in the body. So next, when you have good amount of water levels in your body, your muscles are functioning in the right way. But when you have really low levels of water in your body, that is, you're going into dehydration levels, your fat cells are growing up, and there is more chances of fat accumulation in the body, and which may also hinder your performance. So what happens when you're dehydrated? So like I said, you have muscle cramps, you have heat cramps, you have often headaches, and your brain fogging, because your brain also contains about 70% of water along with 60% of fat it is made up of. If you're not giving the right type of water levels to your brain, you start brain fogging, which means you can't do any judgments properly, you can't think properly, and you can't even sometimes see properly. So that is something you need to be really careful about. And it hinders the body pH levels. So when it hinders the body pH levels, then definitely your body will, cause a lot of imbalance in the electrolytes, and may also, hinder the performance by your muscles not able to perform properly. So so when you're dehydrated, your performance decreases. So for which, like 5% of weight loss, you can expect that 30% of your performance is gone down. So this weight loss is not of fat weight loss. This weight loss is through dehydration. So dehydration can also cause unwanted weight loss. This is not a wanted weight loss. This weight loss is not right. So you have to make sure that you're hydrating yourself properly, so that you are providing good performance throughout your entire journey of the game. And also you're not letting your body cells to shrink, and they function normally.